How's it going there, everyone? It is Drew the Nostalgia Main here with part 2 of the 200 sub Q&A special. Let's move on to our next one. First on the agenda today is a question from #boy. Who are your predictions for the final 2 Smash characters? Now, Smash speculation is a perilous and painstaking process that we've gotten many things wrong about before. For the longest time, I had held on to the hope that we can get Geno in Smash. We, of course, saw that that was not to be the case, and I really don't personally have a horse in this race, so to say, anymore. There are a lot of characters that I'd like to see, and I'd be happy if they got added in. In terms of speculation, I'm going to have to say that I think the most likely character to show up at this point is going to be Crash Bandicoot. If only because Crash Bandicoot has had such a resurgence as a character, both with his new games, the trilogy, the card game, the new Crash Bandicoot 4, and all these other things that seem to be pointing up to he needs to be in Smash, and I think it probably is going to happen at some points or another, at 75% really. I think most likely it's going to happen at E3. I'd love to see a reveal trailer where it shows him in the costume and he's outside of the Nintendo headquarters and calling out to Mario. That would be a really cool trailer. Now, in terms of any other characters that could get in, I'm just going to stab a guess and say someone like Ryu Hayabusa at this point, just because he's really been talked a lot about by certain leakers out there, and I just wouldn't be surprised if he shows up. But other than him, I really have no one really to speculate. I don't think there's going to be a Master Chief situation like another Microsoft character, but there could be a few other surprises, and we honestly could end up just getting another Nintendo character on this path, such as a new Pokemon fighter. I hope not, but that could still be the case. The biggest thing I'm kind of keeping my eye on a little bit is that speculated bonus fighter after all this is said and done. If such a bonus fighter does exist, my money for that is definitely going to be on Waluigi. He kind of has challenges with creating an entire pack around him, so he would fit into that kind of role perfectly. And there is the off chance that they could wrap up the everyone's here motto also by just surprising us with Geno at the last moment. I wouldn't expect it, but also kind of wouldn't be surprised if it did happen. But that's what I think was what we're most likely looking at here for the future of Smash. Up next is a question from SM Wiz, who asks, assuming Banjo 3E happens someday, what new movement tech or attacks would you like to see? Any fun mumbo-jumbo transformations you'd like to see? Now, I am a terrible artist. There's no way I could be able to do some good concept drawings of ideas I have, so we're going to show with Banjo-Kazooie. Kind of the first idea I have is that Banjo could hold Kazooie like she's some kind of a dowsing rod. She'll go, bree, 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 brigo, brigo, brigo! And then he can use Kazooie as a shovel, like so, and be able to use that for finding jiggies or just whatever other items they have. Kind of the other idea, I think is kind of even a bit more fun, is for Banjo to throw Kazooie like she's some kind of a spear. So she'd be able to do that by hitting enemies, hitting targets for puzzles or activating things. Banjo would just throw Kazooie like this. And there you have it. That's a couple of different move ideas I have. As far as transformations, I think it would be fun to see Banjo-Kazooie as a foghorn. Literally. Just a googly-eyed foghorn hopping around, either waking up sleepy characters or triggering mechanisms with their loud sonic waves. Next up, we've got Breadbug. What are some of the scariest moments you've experienced in gaming? The first thing that truly scared me in a video game was the Unagi from Super Mario 64. I felt terrified, existential dread just seeing a picture of it in a magazine, and found myself completely stuck on the shore of Jolly Roger's Lagoon when I actually first played the game. I don't know what it is about this design that terrifies children, but I was one of many spooked by this. Another Nintendo game that I think was just terrifying in general was The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. This game was dark. The haunting moon constantly getting closer, the weird designs of Majora's various forms, and many other Freudian nightmares packed every single inch of this game. And I loved every second of it. Alright, we are going to get into some origin stories here. Minus_2 asks, what was your first memory of playing a game? Alright, so I was about 5 years old or so. I went over to my grandfather's house and he introduced me to this little game here you see before you called Duck Hunt. And I was honestly fascinated by the game because it was something that really I hadn't done before. This is the first video game I ever played, and we had this fun little dog that laughs at you. And he cheers you on when you get the duck. But I remember, like, when I would play the game when I was a kid, it would just be I would just be really, really close to the TV screen. Matter of fact, nowadays, if I go back, I can do it this way as well. But this is just such an impactful game for me because it showed what the kind of magic what video games could be. I got just one duck that time. And this time around, we're just going to live and have a good old laugh. And there you have it. Went to my grandfather's house over and over again. Wanted to play this game a lot. A lot of good times and memories. Alright then, so my research into this upcoming question actually has opened up some new possibilities for my channel, and I'm really excited that I actually looked into it. W2X Ontos asks, did you know if a banjo text generator exists? I've done a lot of research into this question, and currently while there isn't an easy program or webpage where you can just simply insert Banjo-Kazooie text for any character, there is an incredibly simple way to do this through modding. But if I really want to do justice on this topic, I'm going to have to cover it in a future video, but stay tuned, I have actually figured out a way to do this, and here's a little snippet of what I've been able to do. Alright, last question today is going to be from Ambience, who asks, I have super question for you. What's your top 10 most favorite N64 games ever? Alright, so Ambience, for a super question, I can only do a super answer. Here before you is a stack of my favorite Nintendo 64 games, and I'm going to be talking about each of them. First up, we got Super Mario 64. This was really the first big game that came out for the system. I still remember to this day how electrifying it was the first time I played it in a local Sears. And that was just such a memory that'll stay with me for the rest of my life. Mario Kart 64. This was the first big multiplayer, four-player game. I just have so many good ones of just doing especially the free-for-all battles and the stages they had in that, even just the 4 stages they had back then, and I don't even know if Nintendo has been able to replicate it since. Star Fox 64. I've always loved this game, and like all the voiceovers, like it had all these cool characters in it, and it was just a really fun game that I enjoyed a lot. Of course, we can't have a stack here without Banjo-Kazooie. I love this game. Enough said. Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. This was actually the first Zelda game that I ever played, and I just remember that I heard the kids talking about it at school, and they were saying this was the best video game ever. And at the time, like they were, I can understand the sentiment. It was just such an amazing, good game. It had a beautiful storyline, such memorable music, these amazing characters, and these dungeons, and such a wonderful, beautiful game. And it. Honestly, even after Breath of the Wild, I think you could still have an argument for this one that this is still the best Zelda game that's been made. Super Smash Brothers. I played this game a ton, and I've been a lifelong fan of it ever since it came out. I just remember playing all these multiplayer battles with my brother and with my friends, and we just had a lot of good times with this. Donkey Kong 64. The first game that used the expansion pack, and I remember seeing this game and I thought the graphics looked pretty cool and it had like really interesting lighting. Now, it hasn't aged as well as some of these other games, but I still like it. I think it has a ton of personality, a ton of that good old rare charm, and I think it's still a pretty solid platformer. Banjo-Tooie. I was so obsessed waiting for this game because I love the original game, and like I got this for Christmas in 2000, the year it came out, and I played it for hours and hours that day, and even then afterwards I played it for hours during my Christmas break, just getting through the game, finishing it up. An amazing sequel to an amazing game, but it just introduced so many cool, unique things itself. And Paper Mario, the long-awaited sequel to Super Mario RPG. While it didn't exactly continue that world, it did carry over so many elements from the original, but did it in a new way that was fresh and fun. I had a lot of high hopes for this game, and I was surprised that they were mostly met. And one last game here. I don't have a physical copy of it itself, but I also got to mention The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. I had a similar kind of obsession with that game because here we had a year with like 2 sequels just 2 years later for 2 great games. So with Banjo-Kazooie and Ocarina of Time. So I was so excited. I literally marked down on the calendar like a countdown to the days when it came out. And when I played it, it was fantastic. I loved it, and it was just a true N64 classic. But thank you guys so much for all your questions and for supporting this channel. I really enjoyed being able to try to create unique content, and I hope that if you're new here, please consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and y'all have a good one. Bye.